Bin's impact in particular, Xiao who's roaming, and then RNG's early game mitigation and control seems to lack.
And it starts to feel like teamfight is king, right? We look at these two games, we came out of draft, all right, in game one, you were really favoring one side, in game two, you were really favoring the other. Those are the teams that really did win. The teams that drafted the more powerful 5v5, multiple forms of engage. We've seen Enchanter bot lane not really create enough of an advantage to justify itself back-to-back games. So I am interested to see the adjustments here. You know, is Wukong going to be left open again? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. T1 obviously on the red side now as RNG elected blue. I will say teamfight being king is kind of something that was hinted at the start of the Rumble stage as well. When G2 were getting their wins a long time ago, it was them who were drafting the Ornn, looking for teamfights, looking for those 5v5s later on.
Absolutely, and I do like the Xayah ban. The Xayah ban to me says RNG want to play dive, they want to go for 5v5, so I do think they have that same read because Xayah is always that response.
And we saw it in game one, right? The response, though, for T1 in their adaptation is the Galio removal. They're showcasing that respect towards Xiao, who clearly they don't want to bring out that Tristana mid once more, but the further adaptation, rather, is the GP removal now from away from Zeus.
I wonder what you're going to ban, Gwen or Wukong, or are you going to ban neither and trade, right? Because now those kind of seem like the obvious. So yeah, so now they're saying,
you take Wukong, we take
wanted
Gwen.
Wukong, exactly, and then they ban out the counter. So now does this push RNG to go towards Gwen, you know, knowing that they won't have the Jax or the GP answer? But then you're giving owner Wukong again. I really love that last ban by T1. It's smart.
Very intelligent stuff. Of course, getting the Gwen for Bin makes a lot of sense. The guy got 13 kills in game one. He was dominant on that pick. It does, though, as you say, give owner that Wukong, something he played very well in game two. And we'll see, though, RNG.
Oh, Ari. Wow, we completely forgot. Yeah, like this was something that T1 did in fact ban in game one. But you're right, Ari Wukong. It's a very prevalent mid-jungle duo.
But Xiao can now take the Lissandra. Right? So it's actually really interesting. It's the evolution of the meta within a series, right? We saw Xiao, you know, going Lissandra in the EG series. Now we're seeing, you know, Faker bring it out here. I think we're getting Viego Lissandra. Vex was the older answer, but Vex really was not working. Yep, there it is, Lissandra. I think this is so cool. And now, you know, if you win again on that side, well, guess what? Ari gets deprioritized. The evolution is very, very rapid between these two games. But of course, it's not just about the pick, it's about the performance. So Xiao has to be able to perform at that incredible level that we saw from Faker last time around for this to really be worthwhile.
Mid lane was relatively even in terms of laning stats, but when we got out of the lane was when Faker was really able to influence the map, get up towards the top lane and the bottom lane. Here, though, no top lane priority from T1. They say, we're going to let you ban out things that can work against the Gwen. We're going to get the Nautilus for carrier.
I feel like T1 should consider a Leona ban right now, removing that away from Ming. It is one of his most well-known supports. The other potential risk is the, well, I was going to say Braum, but then RNG is very limited in terms of their engage options. Rakan was the other one I was thinking of, but into a Nautilus, I wonder if T1 is that scared of the Rakan. Of course, debatable. Right now, they're banning away 80 carries. They've removed the Tristana. They could be looking at another Caitlyn, maybe. But when I think about other 80 carries that could be available, the Kai'Sa is still up. And when you think about the dive options with the Wukong, with the Nautilus, the potential last top lane to come in for Zeus, I think that both make a lot of sense.
I'm just most interested in what the last ban is here for RNG, right? Because Jace was the answer that we saw last time around. You know, Zeus is going to have a difficult matchup against Gwen. It's the best performing top laner at the tournament here. This champion has been so dominant. The GP's gone, the Jace is gone, the Jax is gone. These are kind of all the answers that we had been seeing. You know, where is he going to go to? He's had a very deep champion pool. We've seen everything from Yone to Rumble to Aurelia.
I was debating whether the Cannon might be a pick, works so well in the later game fights alongside that Wukong in the laning phase. It's okay, into the Gwen you can auto-attack harass because you have that range advantage.
Vladimir is the only other option.
True.
It was something
the BB special.
Yeah, something that during the regular, this is during the Rumble stage rather, was considered a counter. But you already talked about it, Medic. Cannon is the other AP option that does quite well during the laning phase. At a certain point, you would argue that Gwen does get the advantage.
That's with every champion, though. Gwen takes over.
But in team fights, of course, Kennen is an absolute monster.
Well, and that is my concern, you know, about this Kennen, is that you have to be able to force the 5v5s, because what Gwen can do is just force you to answer inside and use the ulti aggressively. And if you trade Gwen ult for Kennen ult in a side lane and then join for 5v5, well, Kennen's not really worth much, right? And we've seen teams get so good at actually marking and shutting down the Kennen on these flanks. So now, looking towards their AD pick. 5th pick AD is not something we have seen much of at all, which does make me wonder, do T1 have something a little bit special?
I'm wondering if the center might be an option here for them. Usually very good on the center, obviously, alongside the Nautilus is a combo we have seen a few times where they're getting through the draft here. Ezreal, Braum, a lot of safety for RNG. They know they want to be disengaging, but of course, Aphelios does give you a little bit more team fight threat, and that's what's going to be locked in.
And I just think it makes sense because this is comfort for Gumayusi. We saw how well he performed on the Jinx, and in the previous round robin, at the last game when they actually beat them, he was playing the Aphelios as well. So this is really, really interesting. Almost guaranteed you're going to take Exhaust on Braum to be able to answer the cannon, but there's multiple dive threats here and a lot of AoE that can potentially come out from T1.
So what I will say is RNG's engage is not the strongest. However, their counter-engage is very effective. Braum, Lissandra in particular as a duo, love it when champions run into them. And when you look at Wukong, Kennen, Nautilus, these are champions that primarily function by diving on top of you. So I do wonder about how well the Aphelios is going to function because typically considered a relatively...
Yeah, it's less than 20 seconds.
I'm sure they're going to trade.
They didn't trade.
It's less than 20 seconds.
That's
the timer. Maybe obviously there was an error with them trading. Maybe they wanted to trade, and we'll find out if that's the case. But otherwise, Zeus is playing Ahri top, or Ahri mid with a top laner.
I'd be very surprised.
I would be very surprised too. That seems like something went wrong there. But we will find out. And we'll let you guys know as soon as we do find out. Almost guaranteed you have to think that they were intending to trade, and we'll probably have to have a remake with picks and bans.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. I haven't been told that we're definitely remaking picks and bans, but that's really the only way you solve this issue. So there was a champion bug. The swap didn't go through. Will be Ahri for Faker and Kennen for Zeus.
So if we can, production, have an opportunity to get the draft back up so we can talk a little bit more about it. At this level of play, it's very... you tend not to see what I would say traditional comps in the sense that here is your tank, here is your engage, here is your damage, blah, 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 blah. And in particular, this doesn't apply just to T1, but Korean teams in general love that carry top style with actually 0 primary front line, and they'll even run like carry top, range support, and they leverage their ability to play the map and just execute well, which obviously is a harder to execute playstyle, but if done well, can often give you lane advantages translated into very good team fighting. And I think that when you think back to the last game when they ran the GP top, that was not your conventional, oh, we have a very easy front to back, I will just use my tank to engage. They have the GP, the Wukong, the Lissandra. You have to be very cautious about how you approach these fights. And that's why I really love watching games like this, because we can see that when you look at RNG's comp, traditionally, it doesn't have your atypical my tank presses R, goes in. Instead, they're going to have to be pretty creative in terms of their ability to find flanks. How do they navigate around the Kennen ultimate that's going to be flying towards them? The Braum shield is going to be really important in terms of when it's actually used. You can block all of Ahri's damage with a single shield. You can mitigate that Aphelios' input by a well-placed Braum ultimate. The team fights are going to be super high level, and if they can't execute, on paper, T1 do have the easier to execute because it is just flash press R, you know? And that's why I think these team fights are going to be super exciting because, as Emily was saying on the analyst desk, T1, they're not known for their team fighting, but that doesn't mean that they cannot team fight. It is just that typically when they win games, it is through early game dominance.
And even at the start of the LCK season, they were very much more about team fighting. They kind of left Zeus on an island up towards the top lane. They funneled into Gumayusi. They tried to look for those 5v5s later on. So as you say, even though recently we have seen T1 be early game, pressure, 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 priority, push, 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 get these big leads, it's very much in their wheelhouse to be able to play these later game comps.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I mean, they're all incredible mechanical players here, so they can really have these super high-level skirmishes and 5v5s. It's going to be really interesting to see how that early laning phase goes up in the top lane. A lot of pressure on Zeus, I think, to be playing from ahead as that Kennen. We know what Ben did to them in game number 1 when he got a lead. It was so hard to deal with. And I do think that can be the X factor here from RNG, because I agree with everything Betty's saying. You know, it is the kind of easier to engage side from T1. You know, RNG can look to try to find flanks and can look to try to find unique angles of approach, but they can also just play 1-4, right? Yep. If the Kennen never joins and the Gwen never joins, it's way better for RNG to have that sort of a 4v4. And I think that's why they really want to have Gwen ahead, and likewise why T1 want to be able to have their Kennen ahead so he can have the push and move.
And when we get into the nuances of the comps and how individual players perform on them, Gala's Ezreal, like, wow. Like, during the Rumble stage, we had a bit of fun joking about, well, it wasn't even the Rumble, it was before the Rumble. This man's Qs don't seem like skill shots to me. Like, he hits every single one of them.
He's playing a different character, actually. They aren't skill shots.
Yeah, it's
point and click when you log in with Gal's account info.
It's just disgusting. Like, the man is just, he's so good at Ezreal, and it is a traditional weak side AD carry. He's not going to get a huge number of resources, but when we look at also him as a player, he doesn't die very often. Like, the fact that he did die bot lane, we all know he should have killed Gumayusi there, and then the outplay came through, and then it was like, wow, okay, that was super surprising that happened. But he is a player who's someone that I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on, because when I think of like Kennen, Wukong, Nautilus, I think any AD carry's life is going to be a nightmare. But when I look at Gala's Ezreal, I feel like good luck getting onto this AD carry.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been such a teamfight monster for RNG. You know, coming into this series, Gala had 132 kills. The player with the most kills on T1 was actually Zeus at 81. Right? Gumayusi was down at 74. So, you know, closing in on double, right? Kills are not everything, but it does showcase, you know, how incredible he performs in these 5v5s. And that's really how RNG got here. That's how they took down top, was these 5v5s, was playing around Gala, and really just depending on him to show up huge in all of these big pressure situations, which he has for them time and time again since joining.
And of course, you look at it on the other side, I think Oner is one of the players that I often am consistently surprised by, because he's not the player that you traditionally speak about when you think about T1.
He did win LCK Summer Finals MVP.
Well, this is it. But prior to that, he was the big question mark. A lot of people were debating how would he be able to fare up. But then, as you rightly said, he stepped up when it mattered. And I think that he continues to do that for T1. And I think here in this final, he's having a great performance, just like he did on the Wukong last game. So many star-studded players, such a very impressive final in terms of talent across the board. I'm excited that we got a 1-1 already, because it means that we're guaranteed at least 2 more games. I'm hoping that we can get 5, because both these teams deserve it.
I'm also excited none of us have said the line that you don't say when it's 1-on-1. You know, that we've got a series on our...
Why would you... Oh.
See, I didn't finish it. Got you. Obviously, we do have a short delay as we are remaking picks and bans. Same picks, same bans, just an issue with Faker and Zeus swapping over their champions. So we'll be getting on into Game 3 in just a moment. RNG versus T1. It's been back and forth, punch for punch so far, but after this game, one team will take the lead in this best of 5.
Ooh, double exhaust for RNG. I actually really like this adaptation. Exhaust is absolutely a must against Kennen, and it is double cleanse, as Vetti's pointing out here, you know, for Faker and Gumayusi. But it is Spellbook for Ming, and we are going to have that exhaust as the base summoner spell, so he's going to have that available quite often. It pretty much guarantees that you're always going to have one for Kennen between the two of you, and you can potentially get an exhaust on both Zeus and Oner as they're actually diving in, which really does shut down those champions, because there's so much about the upfront burst, and their burst is extremely telegraphed. That's why pretty much anytime there's a Kennen in the game, there'll be an exhaust on the other team.
I actually love the Spellbook from Min as well. I think in the EG game when he played Rom, he TP'd up towards the top lane and absolutely shut down any hope that EG had in that game.
He did that a lot.
I do. I mean, RNG did it a lot. T1 have done it a lot. Like, we've both been on the losing end of that one. But I do want to just hone in a little bit more on Ming and Keria. 2 of the best supports in the world. Keria came into the tournament widely regarded as the best player in the world, and I think he really showed that yesterday against G2. He continues to show it in these series. Even his game on the Tarm Kench was just sublime to watch.
And statistically, supports are always very difficult to represent, right? They're a tough one because...
CSD at 10 up there.
Yeah.
Vision score.
But I think that what we really want to get to is, like, the stats are never going to truly represent how talented both of these supports are. And the moment that I saw that Spellbook Braum, the first thing I thought of was TP Braum. Yeah. And I'm reminded of that play that Ming made. Then we think back to the plays that Keria made yesterday, his clutch engages, his insane saves. Like, both of these supports are so integral to the success of their teams, and often it can be subtle, but sometimes it can be massive, and it's very deliberate in terms of how they what you see. And it all starts here in the laning phase, and both of these supports are going to be going toe-to-toe.
Nice little trade back there on Keria as they proc the Braum passive. But I mean, I think back to Keria on the Nautilus against G2. You know, that was just you know, something to behold. He is so good at this champion; it is ridiculous. But really, as you say, the stats do not encapsulate. It's so much more about the eye test, about what these players bring to the team. And really, the graphic can just say really good, also really good. Like, you know,
I did suggest that, but I was, you know, battered down.
I would have had your back. I didn't get a vote on that, just so you know.
Well, let's have a look at Wei now.
Yeah, looking for something. Ona doesn't have the smite, nor does Wei. Both of them coming off cooldown at the same time. Spectral more. Looking for that stun. Ona dodges back into it. Smite, though, a possibility. Ona used his. Wei did not use his. Ona, though, does get the heal out of the smite. Faker on his way from that mid lane. Ona forced away. Blast Cone could go back in. Wei tanking up the red buff. It does reset. He's going to start it back up. Faker coming in from the side. Bin and Zeus trading in the top lane. Wei now needs to get out. Does have the flash. Dodges away from the charm. Heals up. Faker looking for the damage with the Orb of Deception. Faker, though, now in for a world of hurt. The red buff ticking, ticking, ticking. Faker flashed away. 4 HP between him and certain death. Xiaohu going in as they look for the damage first. Blood still onto Ona, who stayed around too long.
Wei is just a madman. Taking the 1v2. I don't think Keria wants this, though. Wei is ready to scrap, and Ming is up here. Wei just pulled off the same invade that Owner did to him in the previous time, where he actually had that wraparound play afterwards to get the kill. But this is so interesting to see that exact same path. It was red Raptors into the Gromp, invade enemy red when he started on blue, so you have that red buff advantage. And Wei knew the strength of his champion in this 1v1, stays around for so long, scrapping it out. And it was also critical that Xiaohu was trading so aggressively with Faker and had him low health so that he couldn't commit to take him out.
Faker survived with 3 HP. That
Two more than he needs.
Yep.
That was
Calculated,
indeed 2 more than he needs.
It's Faker.
He's been here 10 years. He's done the maps.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
The face, you guys didn't get to see, but the face that Sarah just gave me was like, it was just like, what are you talking about, Vinny? Of course, that was...
Have you seen it?
But wow, yeah, I love that you brought up the last game as well, because that is only possible because of this mid lane matchup.
Yeah.
And something you talked a lot about in the draft was the evolution of the series meta. We saw in game 1 this use of Lissandra getting prio, and look, you're seeing it again. Wei knows that he can do this. He knows in the straight up 1v1, Viego is going to win against Wukong at level 3. And even after the smites, look, Wei is still winning. And notice that Wei has the red buff versus the blue buff as well, so he just has more damage to win out.
It's really, really interesting. And a lot of people are going to say, well, where's Kennen? Kennen had the push. Well, actually, we saw that Gwen starts fighting Kennen, so Kennen can't just move for free. RNG were scrapping in all of their solo lanes here. Even the supports were moving up, all because they knew Wei was winning out in his situation, so they start scrapping so that the solo laners from T1 can't assist.
And then look, Xiaohu gets so close to dying, but the immediate follow-up from Wei as well. He had his flash the entire time, and just a really well-executed play. It's important to remember, too, Faker probably didn't run armor roots, right? Which means that when he runs into a level 3 jungler like Wei, and all you have is like basic attacks and you're not going to be doing much damage to Dari, he's not afraid to just walk up to you and slap you with his sword. You know, like Wei, very comfortable in understanding how he can play these matchups and carry it with another good hook.
Ming should be able to dash away from this one. Keria, the hook might not be as good as you thought. Graviton, though, for the double stun. Ona coming from the side as well, does still have the flash. Ming, the exhaust, the first one. Graviton, Gumayushi, one more auto is enough to take the kill. T1 on the board.
Wei is coming, though. Will they actually look for a re-engage? I don't think so, as this wave is just so big. So they're going to have to farm it up. They're looking to pressure around mid. Faker has no cleanse, but I'm not sure they can really get any sort of a dive done here. But will they look for it?
XP, this is the important thing.
He's just about to get 6. He just got 6.
Xiaohu just got 6. Oh my god.
They're going to try it.
I'm always so impressed with how RNG play around those timings.
No flash, no
Here
cleanse.
we go.
How are you going to get out of this one? Glacial Path down. There's the Frozen Tomb stun. Charm wide, and it's easy enough for RNG in the mid lane. Xiaohu tanks 2 tower shots and walks out.
The timing, the execution, everything so clean there from RNG, and their early game has been immaculate. You have to give credit to T1's bottom lane. That little exchange did look scary, and Keria once again looking for another engage.
With the CC here, no follow-up. Felios obviously not in the area. Ming just forced away. Ming only level 3 to the level 5 of Keria.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a problem. Keria obviously spending a lot of time down there. It does mean Gala getting more solo experience, which is great. But Lissandra, back-to-back games, is a problem. You know, Xiaohu, it's a lot of almosts. Oh my god, he's level 6 to level 4.
Level 6 to level 4, he dashes forward. Skill shots aimed exactly where they need to be. Gala, 1 to the good.
Oh my god, the roaming. We're talking about, oh, Ming, you're pretty low level. Well, Gala, he's level 6.
Right. I just noticed that Gumayushi was level 4, and my brain is trying to wrap my head around how did this happen? How is Keria a higher level than his AD carry? But the biggest thing is that Ming has just been roaming so much, which has left Gala on this edge where we talked about in the draft how this is a weak side AD carry, very self-sufficient, very safe to play, and it's Gala's Ezreal, a champion that he is very comfortable on and is very well known for. The moment he hits level 6, he's like, I'm going for the all-in. Gets a 1v1 kill, gets his revenge from last game, and RNG off to a fantastic early game.
I mean, just being 2 levels up there is absolutely crazy. You know, it's the new strat. Just get out my lane support, give me all the XP. You know, making the most of it there, hitting everything he needed to. Is so big for them. You know, slightly ahead in the gold. Way, of course, enjoying a nice gold lead himself. And Viego from ahead is terrifying because if you can get that first reset, you can take over the fights.
It certainly is. And I think the good news for T1 is, as we saw the gold, Gumayusi not that far behind. He did end up dying in the 1v1. His XP is going to be struggling a little bit. They're actually going to make a rotation up towards the top side of the map to be able to contest for this Herald because Gala has a bit of a freeze going on in the bot lane. But overall, T1 still not in the worst of positions, even if RNG find themselves with the killer lead.
Absolutely. And Zeus has created a large CS advantage, right? You know, so that is kind of the untold story. I'm not sure how much Bin lost off of that scrapping, because when Wei was doing the invade, Bin had to start fighting, right? And it looked like his wave was at his tower. So sometimes in those situations, if you have to walk past the wave and fight, you're giving up a lot of minions. So we don't know exactly how that was all created. But either way, Zeus in a great spot, has spellbooked over to the Ignite.
Two-shot barrage. It's going to hit the Riptail. Zeus going in. Bin looking for the damage as well. Zeus not in the position to ult. Depth charge onto the backline. Ming dives forward. There's the slicing Maelstrom. And everyone from RNG is caught in the midst of it. But RNG still managed to win out the fight. Faker looking for Bin. Up towards the bottom side. KO forced up towards the top side. Gumayusi in a 2v1. Can he trade onto Wei? Dodges away from the depth charge. Bin forced out by Faker. Bin still healing. Wei with a triple though. And Wei is on the chase. Steals away Gumayusi. Heartbreaker over the wall. A possibility. Faker will spirit rush away.
Wei, huge fight again. Low health, finds the resets. Will they just go right back to the Herald here? Will be dangerous because T1 is resetting, but the big winner is Gala. Gala did not even move, farming plates on the bot side. RNG just take the 4v5 anyway, as Faker was in mid lane, so they have an initial 4v4 here and are willing to scrap.
And let's just keep our eyes on Wei throughout this entire fight, because while the fight initially looks good for T1, the root comes through, he flashes in, and his goal is to get that initial reset. So he gets the kill onto Ona, then transforms. Now with the fight split up, 2 versus 2 on the top side, Wei is able to get another kill and another reset. So Xiaohu just providing that utility to allow Wei to get the reset after reset, and Bin is just buying time. Faker, at this point in the game, he ran out of mana. I think he popped the corrupting pot to try and get that little bit of mana back, but Bin was just able to keep him isolated for such an extended amount of time, and now Carrier may be caught out.
Ming looking for him, Gala coming in from the side as well. Good block on the hook, and Carrier doesn't really have anywhere to go here. Gala's going to get his second kill of the game. Carrier caught unawares.
The carry's getting paid here. This is so big for them, and Wei, you saw it. A 9-minute mythic completion there. Way ahead of the pace of the game. Here has his Divine Sunder, and he is going to be such a problem now for T1. Gala as well, grabbing another kill there. Things looking really, really good on the RNG side. They've taken a significant early game advantage.
They certainly have, and we have to think about where this all started, that single invade. At this level of play, a single decision, a single play can be so monumental for the rest of the game, and so much credit needs to be given to Wei for his early game impact and just the change in draft. And I'm curious as to, as this series continues, how those evolutions will continue. But right now, it is just the Wei show, and RNG, with this early game lead, is looking dominant.
Spectral Maw lands the stun. Faker Spirit Rushes out. Wei does have the Heartbreaker, but won't chase. Of course, Spirit Rush easy enough there. And yeah, early on, when Ona went into the jungle, he was in for a big surprise, as Wei was there. You can, don't forget to grab your exclusive Scare Prize, a prime gaming emote so you can strut when you flash in and turn a fight. I try to make him inventive for you guys.
No, you do surprise me. That's what I respect, that you keep me on my toes, Medic. Casting for many years, yet you still find ways to...
It's the mark of a wonderful couple, you know. You still surprise me.
It's true.
That's what makes a great duo.
It's
you know?
true.
And you guys are a great duo, so there you go.
We're a great trio.
Oh,
a dog trio.
Thank you. Keep the compliments coming. RNG.
Stop! Okay, Drake secured for RNG. They have themselves a, what is that, 2K, 3K gold lead, 2K.
Yep.
Math's not my strong suit. They're looking for the dive.
Down. This tower's just dead. Faker's on his way down here. Zeus no TP on the Unso spell, but he uses the heal now. The TP's going to be up in about 5 seconds or so. But do T1 have the time to wait for Zeus to be able to teleport down here? But they don't even have the tower. That TP is not unleashed, and RNG are exactly that on the map. Glacial Fisher hits Gumayusi. The Unbreakable coming down as well. Way still on the chase, but the minions save Gumayusi.
They're going to be able to get more, though. The Herald is still here. They're going to walk it in for a second charge. And Bin is ready to match TP if Zeus ever did come. RNG just snowballing this game to perfection here. They take the easier kill, but they get both summoners off of Gumayusi at the same time. They're up in Dragons, they're way up in gold, and they are looking incredible here in game number 3.
Look at that, Xiaohu doesn't even take the blue buff. He says, no, Mr. Wade, that's for you.
I mean, when your jungler's 5-0-1 on VA, I'm pretty sure you give it over.
Yeah, I mean, solo queue players, learn, okay? If your jungler's carrying, maybe give them the blue buff. You know what I mean?
You play mid lane, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But
okay, I mean, I can see why you're giving it over to the jungle
exactly.
player.
I'm trying to tempt K-Draw, you know what I mean? K-Draw, huh? Blue buff, huh?
Yeah.
In any case, Faker right now trying to get a plate back, trying to get a bit of gold into his back pocket, but T1 find themselves in early game deficit, which is something that is very rare for this team. We talked about how the average is like 3.4k during the early game. That is what their early game lead has been this tournament, but they have been very dominant throughout the early laning stage, and RNG have found a way to usurp that and have the dominance within the first 15 minutes.
And quietly, Zeus is up 40 CS. He's just like, guys, how's it going on the other side of the map? I mean, he's got the rocket belt, he's got the stopwatch, so he's ready to go. The problem is, with double exhaust, I just don't know that he's ever going to find that huge cannon ultimate that you're praying for. Ming is sitting on TP right now, but of course, once he uses that, he'll have exhaust, and Bin has his own exhaust ready, so they're always going to save at least one for that cannon, which is going to make it very difficult. Because unless he can really start to pressure towers, the CS advantage means less and less over time here against Bin, who is going to have the advantage of global gold from turrets, of just slowly kind of scaling up and outscaling this cannon.
You see Wei sitting atop his ivory tower there, 7,000 gold, 900 more than anyone else in the game, and that player in second place is Gala as well. So like both RNG players occupying whole position on that scoreboard. And for T1, it becomes a question as to like, how do you ever approach this game? You have no exhaust yourself, so if Wei starts popping off in a fight, you can't stop him from doing that. You have the Slicing Maelstrom maybe for an AoE stun, but you have to find that pick initially. You have to find the Cyclone into Slicing Maelstrom into the Moonlight Vigil or something from Gumayusi to really burst down RNG.
Yeah, and I think you answered your own question, right? It's about the engage. It's about an overwhelming amount of AoE, right? You know, yes, if Kennen does get exhausted, that is painful, but if Owner is hitting at the same time, if those ultimates are hitting multiple people, if Keria is knocking at multiple members with his ulti, and you have an Infernum ultimate or something, you know, all that AoE stack, that is where exhaust isn't necessarily going to save RNG. But RNG have been so adept at their setups at finding the situations where their composition will succeed, and you can expect them to continue playing towards these objectives. That is their bread and butter.
TP coming in, Slicing Maelstrom there. There's the charm for the follow-up, but the exhaust on Zeus is enough. Xiaohu now joins them underneath the tower. True Shot Barrage from Gala looking for a bit more damage. T1 all down towards this bottom side. Everfrost coming out as well, but RNG able just to disengage while Wei continues to push in the top lane.
And that's the important thing, because typically the play here is while RNG secure the top tower, the cross map happens in bot. But because Bin knows that he has the exhaust, he knows that he can make this outplay happen, along with the fact that they have a TP available from their mid laner. So just, again, really good awareness from RNG to recognize exactly what T1 wants to do. T1 is doing all of the right things. They're in the right position, but the execution just can't come through, and it's through no fault of their own. It's just, summoner spell diff. Like, that's just the reality, and they can't make it happen. So, well played by RNG. They extend the goal lead even further.
Absolutely, and now for T1, you're looking towards some of these bounties, right? You know, can you actually pick up a big shutdown on Wei? You know, turn that into a dragon, turn that into a tower, where you can get that extra gold here. Those shutdowns will mean that much more. If two members can't do it for just might for T1, at the very least, they can take down this tower and get the objective bounty.
So now this tower will drop, but look at the control that they have in mid lane. You can see the RNG immediately making the cross map happen, where they're forcing T1 to invest their prio in towards the tower that they wanted to take last time, and RNG is getting even more on the map for it.
Yeah, they're even grabbing Herald at that same time. Yes, it is the second Herald. It is less valuable, but it is still powerful in its own right.
It's very important as well, when T1 have bounties, the Herald is actually much stronger for them than it is for you. So taking it away from them, meaning that they can't just use it to charge down a tower. Also taking it when there's about 20 seconds left on the Dragon means that you can make a beeline down towards this bottom side of the map to take that Dragon as well.
And Zeus now TP to top side, but they're looking for Carrier here.
Has to flash away. Spectral Maw did come out from Wait, and there the TP to the top side as well, as you say from Zeus. Bin's going to match with a TP of his own, and RNG will gain control of the bottom side river.
And you can see RNG are playing around the bounties, which I just think is really smart. You know, in most situations, you'd be fine actually trading that top tier 1, but because there's an objective bounty, Bin is willing to quit his own teleport just to match Zeus. You know that you're not going to be at a TP disadvantage. RNG are playing 2 TPs to 1 plus the spellbook on Ming for a potential third. So I really like that you continue to defend these bounties, not allow T1 to claw themselves back into this game, and now Zeus in trouble.
He stole away the Ghost, though, with that unsealed spellbook. Trying to get away, he does still have the flash, dodges away from the Everfrost. Flash forward from Xiaohu, good stopwatch from Zeus, but the Frozen Tomb will be back off cooldown, slicing Maelstrom from Zeus, trying to survive. He does a lot of damage. Bin there now as he puts the needlework down. It's a 1-for-1 in the top lane. Xiaohu's still looking for the chase, and Wei is coming in as well. Faker does still have one Spear Rush charge. Owner, no flash. Wei, dodge to the side there. The Spectral Maw going wide. T1 trying to disengage. Gala with the True Shot barrage. Owner has to dodge back, but RNG are waiting. Arms open for the kill.
Beautiful play once again from RNG. T1, they tried to respond by answering the collapse from RNG towards the top side of the map. But again, it was a further collapse from RNG. I expected a cross map. I expected them to try and secure the mid tower, maybe even push in that bot wave. But no, they wanted the fight. And this is just Zeus. I don't think he's doing anything inherently wrong here. You can see that his team is contesting the mid wave. They're looking to collapse top, and he's just buying time, waiting for Faker to arrive.
Exactly, and I think the stopwatch initially looks silly until you realize that the call is everyone is coming up. Your Owner and Faker arrive, so they're trying to buy time. They do get the initial kill back onto Bin here pretty quickly, but when Wei shows up, there's just no one that can really contest this guy at this point of the game. He's so damn strong. And as the rest of the members arrive, it's just them getting run over. We can see in the bottom right, though, nice little escape there, it looked like, from Carrier. Good buffer on the hook to escape from the Lissandra ultimate.
And I will say that T1 would probably caught a little off guard because my expectation was that they would play for mid tower, but here's the collapse.
Spectral Path coming in. Xiaohu looking for that Frozen Tomb. It is on cooldown right now, so he wouldn't have been able to use it, but Gumayushi forced to dash away with the Gale Force. Mid lane tier 1 down now as RNG continue to push forward, continue to prod and poke at T1. 4,500 gold their lead right now. 3 minutes on their third Dragon as well. T1 are looking for something, but what can you find when RNG are controlling the vision so well?
And with Bin having the Riftmaker completed now, yes, he is still down a bit on gold to Zeus, but Zeus already used his stopwatch. I don't even think he's going to be building towards a Zhonya's second, so that gold has been spent. And that is a lot of the difference between them here. Bin, you know, at this point, should be pretty comfortable in that 1v1, has caught up in experience, and RNG taking over that top side of the map, trying to deny vision. Gumayushi, oh,
that's a lot of damage. That's a 2-item Ezreal right now. Manamune fully stacked up, Triforce as well. Gala showing us just why he is known for this champ. Rift Herald goes down in the top lane now as Faker has to dodge away. Good charm. Spectral Maw still lands the stun. Carrier coming in from the side as well, but Xiaohu is in a good position. Clears out the ward. Rift Herald will get another charge in here. Zeus, no TP right now. RNG might use that window to continue their advance towards this top side. Ona hits 11. Double Cyclone could be powerful here. Rift Herald going in. Moonlight Vigil just shot. Tower's going to fall. Zeus still down towards the bottom side. TP away by Xiaohu. T1 will look for an engage if they can find it against the 4 members of RNG, but Xiaohu able to get down towards that bottom side.
And there's no TP wards. There's nothing for Zeus to go to because RNG did such a good job at sweeping out vision. You look at this top side of the map, there's just nothing for him to really arrive to. If there was a deep lane ward or something like that, you know, maybe he could have found that retreat where Xiaohu TP's down to bot side, he backs up, TP's top side, and they try to find that chase. But in this case, there wasn't an option for him to do it. So RNG getting even more.
It's just complete domination from RNG. Typically, this team does not dominate the early game, but when they do, their biggest strength is their control over the map. And T1, they're struggling to find answers right now. I think that map-wise, a lot of the time they've made the right decisions. They just haven't had the tools in order to properly trade. And RNG have been, I'm trying to think of the word. They've been very, it's not flippant, but they've just thrown TPs out whenever they have them. You know, like they use them in slightly unconventional ways by defending towers that you don't expect them to defend. But look at how much harder that has made it for T1. It is 6 towers to 1. T1 have only been able to get that bot tower, which, remember, they had to invest a lot to even get in the first place. So T1 have done everything that they can. It's just that the tools that they have are not strong enough to get through RNG's wall.
And I just love that RNG is willing to do that because you're playing with 2 TPs to 1, right? You know, you have that extra 1 because Faker has to play cleanse with respect to the Lissandra. So I do think they're playing it out really, really intelligently, denying these objective bounties as much as they possibly can.
Frozen Tomb going down, carry out. Good hook into Flash.
That is ridiculous. Every
that
time,
reaction
he
speed is
always
absurd.
buffers the hook. Like, that is just inhuman.
I wonder if he saw them with the Oracle's lens coming out of the bush, so he had like ever so slightly more time than 0 seconds to react to that. So
he felt it.
I feel a stirring in the force. Xiaohu is here waiting for me. Faker though, looking for something. Charm onto Wei. Just a little bit of damage. Gumayusi here for the chase as well. Wei. He's on his lonesome. He's by himself.
Tickled
TP
Wei.
coming in. Wait, now Heartbreaker across the wall has to be the expected play here. And that's exactly what he'll do. Dragon started up. That ultimate now on cooldown. True Shot Barrage coming in. Owner looking for a flank. Could find a good position here. Hex Gate's obviously a possibility. Wei doing the same. Owner spotted as he goes into the bush. Gumayusi there as well. Owner dives forward. Xiaohu looking for the damage. The Everfrost coming out. Owner pops the stopwatch. Cyclone used. He gets out. Slicing Maelstrom onto the backline, but immediately the exhaustions of cleanse from Zeus. They're looking for it. The Cyclone coming in. Gumayusi trying to build up the shurikens. If he can find the Moonlight Vigil, Gumayusi can do it all, but he just can't quite find the damage. RNG just slap them with their wallets and ace T1.
Wei is just out of control. 7-0-3, erasing Gumayusi as he tries to fly in and follow up on the T1 engage. It is the ace for RNG. It is sole point for RNG, and they're just running over this game.
T1 feel like that they're just walking through a swamp with how much they have to get through in order to even challenge RNG in these fights. The double exhaust, the amount of utility provided by the Lissandra, the choke points that Xiaohu do. Just watch Xiaohu here. He just says, I don't care. I do not care. Do your worst. And he just face checks into Owner. He then tanks a lot of the damage. The ultimate from Ming is in such a fantastic spot. And look, Owner and Gumayusi really can't do anything. Ming is soaking up the damage, and then Wei starts the resets.
Even with the cleanse there for the exhaust, Zeus had cleansed, actually cleanse away that exhaust, trying to get in the backline to get some big damage, but Wei is just untouched. You cannot ignore the Ezreal and the Lissandra and Bin here as well, but when you do, Wei is just running them over.
Carrier, no flash, Glacial Path coming in. Xiaohu, Banshees for the charm. Flash, Frozen Tomb. Faker tries to cleanse away, but there's 4 members of RNG hungry for blood in the top lane. Xiaohu takes 1. Carrier, no way out for him. You have to feel he's going to the depths below. And because of this, you have to feel RNG will start up the Baron. No TP for Zeus. I don't know if T1 can react.
It's just a slaughter at this point. Like, you talked about it, Medic. I didn't even notice Bin in that last fight, but he was absolutely stomping. And at the very beginning of this game, we questioned, can you afford to give Bin Gwen?
Great Cyclone timing. Gumayusi trying to get upwards away. Ming, though, the Glacial Fisher, knocks him up into the air and shuts him down. Owner will get a counter kill onto Xiaohu. Ming here trying to trade with Owner. Ming has red buff alongside the slows, alongside the passive, alongside everything else he needs to keep Owner in place for Gala to come in and secure the kill.
Ah, the supports can do it all in this one. Ming knocking Gumayusi out of the sky there. Now looking to chase down Zeus here. They haven't quite spotted him out. They do see him now, so he could potentially get ran down in a long chase, but instead they're just going to push in mid, take down this tier 2. Faker does have the death cap. I like that he's going an aggressive build here. You're not coming back by going Zhonya's second. You've got to look for a potential one-shot, and Zeus on the wraparound.
Now, so Gala's going to Arcane Shift across the wall, and Zeus is there, and Faker is there, and T1 find a pick, find a small sliver of hope, a small light in the darkness that is this game.
A much-needed pick for T1, and I think the collapse from Zeus was very good. He went from bot lane, he actually moved through a lot of darkness, and they caught Gala completely unawares. They knew that he would Arcane Shift over the wall, and they were able to punish. So, small pick, a slight sense of reprieve. That's not very good English. Anyway,
that's
T1.
good. That was fun.
Nice.
Slight sense of reprieve.
Welsh is my first language. That's going to be my excuse. T1, I think that it will buy them a little bit of time, but that's all it will really do. RNG, you'll have to notice, only an 83 gold Baron power play. RNG, question mark. But the reality is finding that pick and getting those kills. And remember, the objective bounty secured in the mid lane for T1 is going to mitigate some of that lead. But RNG is going to be back on the offensive in no time.
And really, RNG don't even have to look to dive in Hibs or do anything too risky. They can just play for Soul. Again, they have all 3 dragons here early on. You know, Soul had been such a interesting point of MSI because no one was playing for it, but RNG, in this finals here, have been playing so heavily towards Dragons, dominating the objective control. And back-to-back games here, T1 are facing down the fact that their opponents may grab a really early soul, which could seal their fate in this game.
And put RNG on match point, on title point. For their third ever MSI, they would surpass the T1 of old. They would be the only team in the world to have 3 titles, and Faker would continue to wait after 5 long years for his first international title in half a decade.
And it would be incredible to be able to come back here and defend your title, right? Yeah. It's not just 3, it would be back-to-back for RNG. Xiaohu winning back-to-back years in 2 different roles would be absolutely unreal.
Xiaohu going forward, hook from Kemi, flashes away. He knew he didn't hit the hook on a player. He didn't want to go in. Inhibitor tower in the bottom lane, already fallen. The inhibitor short to follow. Bin now in the mid lane, Faker going forward. Charm misses because Gwen is immune. Faker dodges away with the Spirit Rush. Good true shot barrage, hits 2 there by Gala. Gala dashing forward, Carrier, no flash, no way out. Xiaohu pops the Frozen Tomb. And Faker and T1 are forced back once again. RNG marching towards victory. Looking for that 2-1.
The only hope now is Gumayushi. He has the IE, but he's so low. They just need to pressure him out of the fight because he's the only real threat.
Cyclone. Zeus looking for it. Flash, slicing mouse from Gumayushi. You need everything here. But Wei is giving you nothing. Gumayushi forced away. Wei takes the kill. RNG take the Nexus. And they are on match point for MSI 2022.
An excellent game 3 from RNG. It does feel like the power of blue side is really coming to fruition in this series. The Gwen priority, while it wasn't really the main focus of this game, we saw once again Bin's dominance on the champion. We saw Xiaohu, how he utilized his prio to assist his jungler, and then it all set up for what was the Wei show. His early game dominance and his execution in the early game meant that even if T1 had a stronger on-paper teamfight comp, they could never get to utilize it.
Well, forget about blue side. It's starting to feel like it's about blue champs. Lissandra is really rising in priority now. Back-to-back games, shutting down the Ahri. That had been looked at as that priority pick for mid lane throughout the entire event. And now, in knockout stage, this Lissandra really rising to the forefront of the meta. There's been so many adaptations from game to game to game. I'm really interested to see what